Hi, welcome to Denim. I'm Den, and apparently all of these jeans are toxic to my body. These are my only safe jeans. Stick with us a moment and we'll explain. But first, a word from my most awesome sponsor, Unbleached Apparel, maker of really my favorite t-shirts. So a big shout out to our sponsor, Unbleached Apparel. Unbleached Apparel is a small company based out of Brooklyn, New York, which specializes in natural, undyed clothing. I love the classic look of blue jeans and a white tee. But just like with jeans, they don't make t-shirts the way they used to anymore. Nowadays, white t-shirts are treated with all kinds of harsh chemicals to make them look super bright white. Unbleached shirts don't have any of those chemicals or dyes. They are simply the color of the beautiful cotton plant. That's why, wash after wash, they continue to look brand new, while big brand white t-shirts need to be maintained with bleach and other nasty chemicals. So if you guys are a fan of the show and are thinking about picking up a t-shirt, go to unbleachedapparel.com and let them know we sent you. Use the code DENIM for 5% off your order. I think we're all on board with what we can do to help out the planet. I've always been against fast fashion. I like things that last a lifetime. There are a few factors we have to consider about creating an overall healthy and sustainable denim fabric. Let's take responsibility for our health first. Since 1900, most denim has been dyed with synthetic indigo dye. The ingredients come from the byproduct of refining coal tar. Don't get me wrong, it was a great scientific breakthrough that has brought us things like aspirin and the multitude of colors in our clothes, and also recombining atoms to make our own molecules. Unfortunately, coal tar is linked to being a carcinogen now. And a lot of people have been seeing this coming for years. FDA recently did a study this year proving that these forever chemicals in our clothes are leaching into our body. They are carcinogens to our skin. They are not only harmful to us, but in the process of making them are spreading all over to our environment. So we need to think about where the dyes themselves come from. There are synthetic versus natural dyes. And there are other chemicals such as bleach, color fixatives that can be just as harmful. The best solution would be natural indigo dye for the traditional blue, and any other plant-based dyes for your desired color. There's also going for that natural cotton look. And now, as we're going to see later in this episode, there are colored cottons that we can grow naturally and give you more of the desired bluish green hues that you're looking for. The clothes we wear need to be made from fibers from something. Plant-based fibers are safe for your body and nice for the planet at some level. However, the overabundance of fast fashion clothing has left its mark on the pollution with floating islands of trash, and basically, if we could just use less, then it would be fine. But alas, let's try and see what damage our beloved cotton can do, and how can we remedy it? Cotton farming takes more water than some alternative fabrics, such as hemp or linen, but it is still a fantastic material for clothing. You have to ask yourself the questions that are important to you. We will look at organically grown cotton, engineered cotton, recycled cotton, and my new favorite, color-grown cotton, each having their own pros and cons. So let's look at the new pairs of 501s that came out this year that are trying to be eco jeans, and I'll give you some alternatives at the end of each section if you're interested in a non-Levi's version of these. Let's start out with the most requested one by far is the Hemp Selvedge. Now, the fact that regular Levi's line is making some selvage is great news. They've been experimenting with hemp-based fabrics for a few years. Being a teen in the 90s, you wanted hemp clothing because it was soft yet strong and more eco than cotton. But all of the cuts were so baggy and made to look like you smoked it too. But now more companies are hip to the hemp-based products, and we are living in an experimental time of it. Some good, some terrible. The 501 cut is timeless. Of course, it has changed over 150 years, and that's what my channel's 501 saga is for. As far as for the hemp-based selvage jeans, let's look at the good parts of them. They have hemp-based fibers in them. Hemp is wonderful to make denim because it's strong, yet gets softer over time, and it really cleans itself easily with the UV rays of the sunlight. Selvage denim is another bonus because it's a stronger way of making denim weaves. These jeans will last you a lifetime if you treat them right. They come in a few colors, a faded blue, a jet black. Now for the bad. They aren't completely hemp, but about 25% hemp, and the rest is a blend of cotton and recycled denim. Also, they're not shrink to fit. However, I don't think that's going to stop most people. They like what they are. And I think they're still using synthetic dyes in this pair, which goes back to the chemical complaint that we were talking about before. However, I will say with most pairs of jeans, you don't have the color fixidants because you want that color to run off. It's in other clothing that you have that the color stays, you want that to keep, that will have it. Then we come to where they're made. These pairs are made, if it says imported, it's most likely one of three places: China, Sri Lanka, or Bangladesh. I believe these ones are made in Bangladesh from what I've seen. And that goes back to, do you want to support somewhere that doesn't guarantee human rights and also protect the workers from getting hurt? You need things like workman's comp to protect your workers that are getting hurt while making the clothes. No one should be dying or losing their livelihood and being disabled from making clothes without some compensation, if there is. Now for some hemp selvage that's not from Levi's. Naked Famous has a tapered pair called Weird Guy, which is a green selvage denim. And I think the king of the hemp denim at the moment is a company in Indonesia, Wingman Denim. They've got a couple pairs of green selvage hemp-based denim. It's about 30% hemp, 70% cotton. I think they're pretty cool. I don't like that they put the weed leaf on the patch, but, you can cover that up or go with it. It's nice that we're working our way towards this. I think it is a good material that needs to have more use out of. The recycled 501s. Well, technically, they're called circular 501. And they're made from Renewcell. This is a Swedish-based company that makes viscose. Viscose is the generic term for the recycled denim, or recycled cotton that then gets turned into a denim weave. Tencel is another name you'll see. So you look for these viscose, Tencel, Renewcell. Basically, there are these machines you throw cotton clothing into, it shreds it up. You take those shreds that are like confetti and weave that into a new fabric. It sounds cool, futuristic, and the problem to solve the future. Like I imagine intergalactic travel and how this could be used and what 501s will look like in like 100 billion years or so. But how is it working here on Earth in 21st century? Well, I like the start, but there should be some sort of control over what is being put into this. It seems like it's all just generic dump pot that then gets turned into everything else you're looking for. I like to think of it as a blended whiskey of stretchy Walmart and your old Cone Mills. Hopefully it will be more refined in the future, but I don't know that exactly matters even. Also, the use of recycling takes up a lot of energy, and we don't think about this a lot with recycling, but it takes up a lot of waste and energy, sometimes less than growing those new products and making them, but it still does do something. We want things to just last longer if we can make it like that. A decent pair of 501s is such a thing, so making it into a pair of 501s is something that should last you for a really long time. And I have to let you in on a little secret from my observations, and it looks like this is the way Levi's is headed overall, and especially a lot of other companies. Companies like H&M, C&A, I think they should be going this route so that they're not wasting lots of new cotton. No reason for them. That's the fast fashion. Currently, the bulk of Levi's cotton is grown in China. They have their organic farm, which is cotton grown in Turkey. Both are countries with not the best human rights records, to say the least. But also just ending a reliance on China is a good thing for any company around the world. And it looks like this viscose, either being Renewcell or another version of it, is what Levi's is going to be using in majority of their premium line clothing for the next few years. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing for most of their other clothing. So let's talk about the recycled pair. It is 40% recycled cotton, 60% organically grown new cotton. This pair has no rivets. No, it has got bar tacks in the back, and just like the LVC 1944 501s, it's going to have missing rivets on the watch pocket. Good parts are recycled jeans are a great start. They're available in two colors, also a dark and a light, in men's and women's. The other jeans are not available in women's sizes, although if you do want to get a women's pair, you upsize to the men's 2.5 sizes. So let's say you're a 27.5, you get a 30. Let's say you're a 27, you should get like 29 or 30. You got to find in between. These are not shrink to fit. They do have a cheaper price tag, 60% off versus the other models that I'm going to talk about. Now the bad parts, it's only 40% recycled, but that's still something. Synthetic dyes made in Sri Lanka, China. Now there are plenty of other companies that are using Tencel. For some Japanese denim made in an environmentally safe fashion with recycled cotton, look for Unbleached. They make men's and women's. And for women's, look for Triarchy. This looks like a pretty cool American-based company that is using recycled cottons for their denim. Indigo Farms. These are the plant-based 501s. They really flew under the radar, I think. I think they're really the jewel in the crowd. They're the only shrink to fit in the eco line. They're made of organic cotton completely, plant-based dyes. I'm assuming for the red tab too, but I'm not certain. So these are the Indigo Farms. You can see they made them in a very dark, rigid color, even though they're from natural indigo dye. Almost the same as the modern shrink to fits. So you can see, if you look at something that's made out of 19th century indigo, you see that it's just a little lighter. I thought they were going to go that way with this. It'll eventually lighten into that. These aren't the only natural indigo jeans that Levi's makes, and they're not the only natural indigo jeans in the world. There's several other pairs going on. If you look at the new line of LVC, the Levi's Vintage Clothing Collection, you'll see they have a lot of these rigid-looking, organic dyed jackets and classic 501s, but those are, I believe, done with a rinse. So this is raw denim, natural indigo, and this is what you would get if you got a nice pair of Bowery Blue or Japanese quality denim. They will be using most likely natural dyes in there. One of the other good things I can say is that where they're made, these are made in Poland. I live in Poland, and it's a first world country. It has some economic growth and not as much disparity as a third world country between the rich and the poor. Levi's has had a factory in the Polish city of Płock for over 30 years. It's a good community of people. They are protected against mishaps in the workplace. They have disability insurance. They're covered if anything happens. And that's really all about treating the people with respect. Now, recently this year, Poland voted out its right-wing government. And nothing against your political choice. It's just they had one party that was very anti-EU for the last 8 years, and now it's going to have to be a compromise between two sides of more centrist parties. It looks good for development and for the future of Poland in a more global community. I really hope they start to make more things here. I'm very proud to have these. I don't have many bad things to say about this, but a word about patches in general. it has this pleather-like patch, which means that it probably has some kind of glues in there that won't decompose over time. Whereas a Jack Cron paper patch or a leather patch will decompose within a couple hundred years. Now for something to blow your minds. A pair of Levi's jeans made with heirloom cotton grown in California. Back in 1991, Levi's collaborated with internationally renowned cotton specialist Sally Fox to make the 550 Naturals. Sally Fox is a cotton farmer in California. She specializes in varieties of cotton that produce fibers in rich tones of brown. This is the way cotton used to be, before the bleach everything 20th century.
She's been the most innovative person in the textile business in a number of years.
Denim historian extraordinaire Mohsen Sajid has suggested that the original duck pants color was from the cotton grown. It was an undyed duck weave. I like to think of this organic cotton as being very similar to bread. Since the actual cotton is the intended color, there's no need for dyes or many of the other harmful chemicals in the processing of the fabric. From farm to loom to tailor, it's as simple as can be.
The cotton plants that produce this cotton of color are more vigorous than regular cotton. They're from wilder origins. They haven't been domesticated and put through breeding programs where people are using pesticides.
In what has happened, that we have this wonder loaf of the 20th century, and that's basically what our cotton has become, is just bleached, non-nutritional, non-substantial. But fox fiber is like a whole wheat sourdough. It's made the way things used to be with the nutrition you need. Take a moment and look at this cotton. Look at the richness of the browns, the depth of the greens. And you can see this is from the actual plant. And as it gets washed, it does start to get darker over time.
I'm going to show you some examples of some denim. This fabric here, the bottom one, is the same as the top one. The only difference is the bottom one has not been washed. Then we had it put in a treatment that brings it to its final color, what it will be after about 50 washes. And that's this. So the green really intensifies.
If you can find a pair of the 550 Naturals, which are still sort of floating around, there's also a jacket made about that time. 100% dye-free, 100% organically grown cotton in California. Items made in the USA. The bad part, they are vintage items that are hard to find. Sally Fox's 550 Naturals were insanely popular. A store in Ohio is said to have an 18-page waiting list to get the jacket and jeans. Yet in a 1997 article, word came out, and this is so disappointing, but Levi's was actually threatened by their sales, that they were going to be much more popular than blue jeans. Their whole marketing scam would go under. Other companies like L. Bean and other mills just saw her cotton as a novelty item that they wouldn't even touch. Now, there are other companies that are using Sally Fox's Fox Fibre and Colorganics. Studio d'Artisan is making 3 pairs of jeans in the Fox Fibre Colorganics. They make a pair of the Fox 002s in the Coyote light tan, and also a matching jacket with this too. I really like this. I think this is an easier get than the 550 Naturals. Of course, I'm a total Levi's fan, but I am interested in this. And they've also got 2 pairs that have been dyed. I don't know why they would get the Fox Fibre and then dye it, but they did. Those are the Fox 001 and the G3s. A 15-ounce denim and a 13-ounce respectively.
Every time you're dyeing something, you're bleaching the fiber first and then you're dyeing it. And no matter how many improvements you can make, if you can grow the color, why ever dye that color? Dye colors you can't grow.
I would like to see a pair of jeans or pants made with some of the darker tones like the buffalo or the palo verde. If you go to the Unbleached Apparel site, You'll find that they have a few items, tote bags, keychains, and soon-to-be dress shirts made from fox fiber. This is as good as cotton gets. This is one of these items that will last you for life. Levi's made a big mistake by not continuing to make these. I went with the Indigo Farms for several reasons. First of all, made in Poland, where I live. Shrink to fit, really like that feature. Natural indigo dye. I'm trying to hunt down a pair of the Sally Fox 550s in my size, but that's a vintage item. I got time. These are available this year. As far as what is best for the environment, well, the big thing is to reduce what uses you can. A good pair of jeans should last you more than most types of pairs of pants you'd have. Plus, you get fewer washings with them, saves water. I'm a weird collector of this stuff, so none of this will end up in the trash. It will all get passed down, but it's in a different realm from just what I use daily. I can say things like socks and underwear are things that I'm using through and I'd like them to last longer or be made of natural materials since they're really right against my skin. I mean, you can put on a pair of organic everything and then put on some synthetic thermal layer and you're defeating the entire purpose of it. I think it's a great thing if we can get better with the recycling fibers, but I wouldn't jump on this pair yet. Having natural dyes or even no dyes in our kids' clothing is something we need to consider more. I'm certain that most kids' clothing is terribly bad dyes, but that's the standard. And you need to have a lot of clean clothes, so. But as far as adults, what we can do, there's a lot of good options that we're listing. One thing that I think really needs to end, we went so crazy with the plastic straws, but nobody seems to talk about these plastic strips that we have all over our clothes. And the thing is, they're clear. So you cut them and then you got this little piece of something that's just floating around. You got animals and kids and it's just completely dangerous. How does this not killing baby turtles more than plastic straws? Nobody's talking about it. Another reason I really like these Unbleached Apparel shirts. There's no stupid tags all over it. You just got your information, boom, right in there. And it's something I want to wear every day. This isn't the end for the discussion on cotton and Sally Fox. Next year, we'll pick back up in the 1927 501 episode. Redline Selvedge Cotton Farmers. A big shout out to my Patreon community. A special thanks for the YouTube super thanks to Pit Sanu Boone Prossert. I'm Den. Thanks for watching Den and Denim. Love your jeans.